Always aim for the head. This book is useful.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Welcome back to the 31 Nights of Fright overview of the horror anthology Fear Itself. The next episode down the line is entitled Community. Community tells the story of a couple trying to start a new life while grabbing the American dream of having a child and a new house in the suburbs. But at some point things go down the line into a twisted hill of chaos as the episode starts off with the husband, Bobby, as played by Brandon Ralph, running away in the dead of the night from an angry mob in the suburb, which is explained later on. Our couple is incapable of getting pregnant, and the wife is desperately longing to achieve their dream. They soon come across a real estate agent who gives them the chance to live their dream as they plan, but our couple fail to realize the literal use of the words that come out of the real estate agent's mouth. After moving into their new home, the couple slowly notices that there's a strange and strong sense of the big brother syndrome going around in this community, and that people seem to live way too tense, as if they were constantly being watched or tormented. As time goes along, our protagonists find out that the small print and the literal words from the real estate agent's mouth literally locks them into a contract and a sense of servitude that they cannot get out of. This episode strongly plays off of modern day fears and horrors, and while it's slightly over-exaggerated for cinematic suspense, most of it is all too realistic. One can even say that it pays an homage to the episode of The Twilight Zone, like Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, where people and the reality of our savagery are the real monsters that create horror and fright. While not scary in the classic sense, it can make you think, and it is a fairly interesting episode, but gore fans may want to skip on this one as it lacks almost all sense of gore.
He's hungry, eh? Oh, yeah, he's hungry. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's some good stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah, eat that. Oh, not too fast. You can have all you want. Because there's plenty more where that comes from.
While Community lacked in the gore department, the next episode should suffice for those looking for something a bit more twisted. This episode is entitled Eater, and it's all about a Cajun heart-eating cannibal. Elizabeth Moss plays Bannerman, a boot or a newly recruited police officer. Bannerman is part of a detailed group guarding Mellor, a Cajun serial killer and cannibal nicknamed Eater. As the night wears on, she begins to suspect that the behavior of her all-male colleagues involves something more sinister than hazing. So as you can pretty much guess by now, the serial killer escapes, and it's up to our protagonist to capture the killer while being locked up with him. But some interesting twists are done with this episode. In most cases, the killer would start picking off the protagonist one by one throughout the entirety of the episode, but in this one he has already escaped right after the opening credits, and is taking the form of all the officers when near our heroine. He is able to shapeshift via a voodoo technique. If he consumes the hearts of his victims, he is bestowed with the ability to take their form, but he can only take the form of those whose hearts he has consumed. So this quickly becomes a demented game of cat and mouse, as the serial killer toys with our heroine until he reveals himself near the end. Now this really isn't a spoiler, as you clearly are hinted towards this, with a lot of foreshadowing at the start of the episode when things go wrong. For the most part, this episode is moderately solid. Acting is good as well as pacing, dialogue, and story. The killer is interesting and mysterious, but he could have been made to look more frightening, as for the most part he was just a tall man, and bigger doesn't always mean better or scarier. You do have plot holes here and there, like how the killer escaped, or why our heroine refused to take more logical steps towards the solution than the action she took, and the ending was a bit of a letdown. It was almost as if they didn't know how to end it, and just thought of a stupid quick fix to the end of the episode. But for the most part, it's an enjoyable episode. There's more to go with this series as we continue through our review of Fear Itself.
Don't be bringing that trash up in here. This is my house.